Where shall we go today? Where shall we go? Where do you want to go today? Let's visit Stratford-Upon-Avon. Sponsorship's changed. Stratford is famous for many things. Main thing, of course, is this leisure centre which was built about 10 years ago. It's beautiful. I feel all sporty. Big and historic town. Every building has to be subject to massive planning permission. For example, this multi-storey car park, I don't know how that got through, a bit of that I think. And then this hotel here, which is beautiful, reminds me of Crossroads from the 1970s. Oh. This rather rubbish statue behind me celebrates the life of Billy Throwspear, who was a famous poet of many years ago. He wrote such poems as "I wandered lonely as a cloud" and "She loves you, yeah, yeah, yeah." And they built this statue in his memory, which also is surrounded by people who are even posher than him, like this footballer here wearing a crown and a dagger. Billy Throwspear liked a good duck every now and then, and here we see a few on this pontoon in this marina. This marina is dedicated to him and one of his famous books, which name I forget completely. I think it was Rosie and Jim. I think that was the book that this is in tribute to. If you like swans and other white birds and other birds that are brown and they're not ducks, do a lot worse than come here to Stratford. Behind me is the famous oak, made famous by famous people who lived there. For example, Robin Hood, who lived in this oak. That was another story by Billy Throwspear. The river behind me used to be called the River Avon, but now it's the River Maybelline. Maybe she's born with it. You can actually hire a boat to go on the River Maybelline for only £14 for half an hour. Although the big wheel behind me is not the London eyesore that we saw in an earlier video, it's still really... This building behind me is a very famous building here in Stratford. It's basically a place where people go to do plays and things like that. Or it's been made into apartments. It's one or the other anyway. But either way, it seems that the locals would sooner have their concerts, etc., in a Victorian bandstand on the other side of the River Maybelline. Maybe she's born with it. If you're lucky enough to win the lottery and you buy yourself a barge, why would you? Well, if you do buy yourself a barge if you win the lottery, you can bring it here because there's plenty of parking spaces for barges. But don't bring your yacht, they don't like them. As we walk past this building, which is the theatre where they do things, I notice that the architecture is a lot better on this side than it is on the other side. It's a lot prettier and rounder and nicer, and it's also got RSC written on it, which stands for really suddenly constructed. If you like your birds not to be in water, like pigeons for example, you can always have these land swans, which live 100% of the time on land, except when they go in the water, obviously. I'm not saying that Stratford is up itself, but look at the names of these boats. Portia, Ophelia, Volumanina, Crescentia, Viola, Virginia, Juliet, Ursula. I mean, what kind of names are them? They're not proper names, are they? Ridiculous. Sadly, there's an immigration problem also here in Stratford. As we can see, some people trying to land having sailed across this river, which is a bit stupid really, because if you want to sail across this river, it'd be much easier just to use the ferry. No, I'm not joking, that is an actual ferry. Well, it's a plank with some wood on it, but it's a ferry. Stratford-Upon-Avon is really famous for lots of buildings, including this one, which is just called The Other Place. Behind me is a building. It's not unusual, there's often buildings behind me, but this one is unusual because it's got these pictures on it, most of which are covered by trees, but it shows old people doing old things in the oldie days, which is weird because this town was only built about 50 years ago. This tree is a very, very big tree, but it's very handy if you want to know what time it is, because it's got clocks hanging from it. Sadly, that's not the right time. So the things in this place are a bit silly, like for example these stairs which just lead to a wall. This behind me is a very impressive structure This is a church. One of Billy Throw-Spear's best-selling novels was based on what people read in a church. Probably. Although there's very few maps in this town to actually figure out how to get anywhere, they do give you some very handy warning signs. For example, this one here which says, steps ahead. So you know not to carry on down here, otherwise you get a 90s crap pop group singing at you. It's not just humans who find it difficult to find their way around in this town. Even this tree, this gnarly old tree, seems to have some major issues. It doesn't seem to know which way is up, until eventually it finds it. Yay, well done. The famous Hollywood actress Anne Hathaway lives here in Stratford. She lives in a cottage. It could be that cottage there, but to be fair, she's had that many built that no one knows where it is, which is a very clever plan. In order to get to Anne Hathaway's cottage, you've got to go down these long and winding little back passages. Apparently, that's what she likes. And this rather rickety bridge as well. Now, there was a signpost way back when, but all the other signposts have been vandalised. I assume that's because Anne Hathaway doesn't want people visiting her cottage. She wants some privacy like the rest of us do. I know all the signs down pointed to my house as well for the same reasons. Anne's even been even cleverer. She's put a sign up that points to 2 different directions for the same thing. She's a very canny lady. To be fair, I feel like I'm more like going to Hogwarts, which of course is Anne Hathaway's childhood school. She was in Harry Potter, wasn't she? Yeah. It's really dark. Following the massive success of Swindon's Magic Roundabout, Stratford thought they'd have a go as well. Pitiful. So here we are then. After 5 hours of walking, we finally found Anne Hathaway's cottage. And as you can see, it's a massive tourist site here with all the tourists around. Absolutely huge. Absolutely huge. Although there are some tourists over there using some bad language, I think. So as we go around the back of Anne Hathaway's cottage, we can see that it looks really old, despite the fact it was only built 2 weeks ago. So there you go, Anne Hathaway's cottage in Stratford. It's beautiful. I've found you, Anne. As people have been driving along in Stratford, they've still got these old-fashioned bollards in the middle of a normal road so people know not to cross them. Oh, it's so 1960s. Even in the centre of the town, these buildings are still quite old. For example, this one, which is the Old Thatched Tavern. You can tell it's called the Old Thatched Tavern because it has it written on all the sides. And also, across the way, there's this rather nice clock tower, which is a tower with a clock on it. That's why it's called a clock tower. Stratford also has the oldest NatWest bank in the world, and it's still open. Look at the very old architecture there. That was built in Victorian times. Stratford has everything, including a sex shop. Although it's a black sex shop. Not seen one of them before. This is George Pagnell's Jewellers, where Anne Hathaway gets all the jewellery from. Sadly, it's closed at the moment. The building behind me, it says here on this plaque, which is a very big plaque, basically says that this is where the daughter of William Shakespeare lived for a while, and it went derelict, so W.H. Smiths did it up about 100 years ago. Yeah, brilliant. Fortunately now, it's derelict. If you like a traditional street market, one that just pops up in the middle of a street, you could do a lot worse than come to Stratford here. Although I would advise you get here earlier than I do, because they're all packing up now. So if you want to visit somewhere that's got water and trees and history and a famous artist, you could do a lot worse than come to Stratford-Upon. Don't forget, it's not even anymore now. It's Maybelline. Stratford-Upon-Maybelline. Where shall we go today? Where shall we go? Where do you want to go today? Let's visit